I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investment Pitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Michael Wagner, the CEO of Star Atlas. Michael, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Hey, Ashton. Great to be here. Thanks so much.
I'm really excited to dive into Star Atlas. I know your team's working on some really interesting parts of your project right now, and I would love to just kick it off for the viewers with a high-level overview and the focus of Star Atlas and the metaverse.
Absolutely. Let's describe that across really the dual prong approach that we're taking internally as a company. So first and foremost, what we're building is a high quality or AAA title space exploration themed video game concept. And we're building that on blockchain. We are building on the Solano blockchain. In addition to that, so this is our near-term focus, is to build out an entertaining, engaging video game experience that would be attractive to a mainstream audience, not just the niche that is blockchain gamers, but rather all gamers globally. So that's our near-term focus, is to deliver this functionality. Longer term, we see a tremendous amount of potential in building what is commonly referred to as the metaverse, essentially a virtual alternative universe within which an individual can persist. And when you start to consider gaming coupled with financial incentives delivered via blockchain mechanics alongside the metaverse, the result is a real economic experience in which players are actually able to derive real world value from.
Very cool. And I'm super excited about Star Atlas specifically as a metaverse because there have been other platforms that are working on metaverses, but it seems you're just in one little island or on a country, and to build a full, space themed one, I anticipate that to be super exciting and intricate. Can you just explain a little bit more about, how you've designed this platform? I know you're working on building the metaverse and you're sort of early on right now. Where are you at right now with the platform?
Yeah, our immediate focus, as I said, is really on the video game experience. I will caveat that and say, we've worked extensively in the digital currency blockchain space for years, and have followed a lot of the trends and momentum, the evolution of the industry over time. And so seeing what was taking place in both DeFi and NFTs and coupling that with blockchain gaming was important to us. So we have a near-term milestone that we're calling Rebirth, which is a 14-piece digital art collection. We're launching that on April 24th. But really, the immediate focus is on delivering this gameplay experience, which will be launched in July of this year. The general game mechanics include things like space exploration. So, purchase a spaceship and fly around, navigate the stars. Territory control, so you can actually purchase land, build structures on that land, participate in mining, which actually generates some of the financial rewards, and political domination. We have two tokens in the game, Atlas and Polis. And Polis is our governance token, which is usable both in-game to exert power over other players, and then also outside of the game to have voting rights in the actual development decision-making process that we execute under as a development company.
Very cool, Michael. And yeah, that sort of leads me into the question on, I know you mentioned that there's going to be blockchain integrations and it's going to really open it up to a lot more interaction with the players, but you're trying to focus on, getting this to people outside of the blockchain as well. But in terms of the blockchain integration, can you just touch a little bit on, how does Star Atlas differentiate itself by integrating the blockchain rather than just being a space exploration video game?
Sure. And let me, give a quick shout out to the Solana protocol here, because they've been amazing partners and collaborators with us in the development of this concept. Solana itself is the first and really only web scale blockchain protocol in production today, which is absolutely essential to deliver the type of gaming experience that we're proposing here. And so it's been fantastic working with them, working with other ecosystem participants, and working with Serum directly to deliver decentralized finance protocols within our video game concept. So the primary tools that we use from blockchain, first and foremost, are NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, essentially unique assets that live on chain. And so in our case, that's everything from ships to crews, components, land, equipment, building structures. The list goes on, but effectively every one of those assets that a player can control are truly owned by them. which means they can turn around and sell that asset later, or trade that asset later, or upgrade that asset and destroy that asset later. But it's entirely up to them what they do with it. Secondary to that, we incorporate crypto native assets as the core unit of the economy. So as I mentioned, Atlas, that's our in-game transactional currency. It's effectively the same as in-game gold in any other video game concept, with the exception of it's an actual cryptocurrency where it's traded freely on crypto markets. And so as players go through the various gameplay loops, their rewards in most cases will be Atlas, which they can then cash out to real dollars. We think this is very powerful. Polis, as I mentioned, is our governance token. And then finally, the third tool that we're utilizing to assist players with the generation of both income and yield on their assets is the integration of DeFi directly into the game. And so players will be able to stake their assets. They'll be able to contribute to liquidity pools and automated market makers and yield farming. And one of the most promising pieces of technology that's emerging right now is effectively a concept that is a lending pool, if you will. So players can contribute assets they own to the lending pool, and then other players are able to go and borrow those or rent those. So we're able to create a true sharing economy experience within the Star Atlas metaverse as a result of this. Players that otherwise couldn't afford assets per se will now have an opportunity to rent them short term, play in game, make money off of that. Ideally they'd be making a profit. And in the meantime, the player who isn't engaged in gameplay is now earning residual income off of the asset that they're loaning out. So we think these are all incredibly powerful tools for the gamer.
Definitely. It sounds incredibly powerful and just so much more interaction than your regular video game. And to integrate decentralized finance and like financial products into it as well. This is so interesting to be able to be engaged in something that's such more exciting than what you would find in the traditional financial industry of just putting some money somewhere and getting a return when it's actually something that you're super interested in. And you did touch on the fact that you've worked closely with Solana and Serum. You shouted out to them, and I'm interested to learn a little bit more on that decision, how you guys work together. The majority of decentralized finance applications are on the Ethereum blockchain, and Solana is not as known by as many, but it seems like it has a lot of up and coming potential. Was there specific reasons that you decided to move in that direction, or that moving forward you see that as the best option for Star Atlas?
Absolutely. There was a lot of due diligence conducted in advance of us selecting protocol, Solana as our layer 1 protocol. As a quick aside though, just on your previous point, I think DeFi itself is the gamification of finance. And now we're just extending that one step further and saying, here's an actual game environment where you can interact with it and gamify it even further. So I think that that's a great opportunity to attract people and educate people on financial literacy and tools. So, but with respect to Solana, first and foremost, the technology needed to be capable of handling a high number of transactions, because as you can imagine, if we scale this game to millions of players, all of these player interactions taking place need to be recorded on chain and saving state on chain. And so Solana was really the only protocol that would be capable of managing not only the transaction throughput, minimizing transaction costs. So in Solana's case, it's less than 1/100th of a penny per transaction. Things add up when you have millions of transactions occurring frequently. Further, they have sub-second finality, which just implies low latency, low lag on the network. And if you're a gamer, your biggest enemy is lag. That will get you killed more than often than not. So having this all in a unified package delivered by Solana was just essential. Now, beyond that, we also analyzed the team, and the founding members of Solana come from high pedigree technology backgrounds at companies like Qualcomm, Dropbox, Intel. These guys understand how scalability works on a broad scale. And so once again, that was important. Looking at the participants, the people that were building within the Solana ecosystem was also attractive. We've made a number of relationships and partnerships with other companies within the Solana ecosystem, such as Audius, such as Stardust, such as Raystarter, Soulstarter. Seeing all of this innovation come about, that was something that we wanted to be associated with, right? And then further, really just the other members of the ecosystem that have broad reach and have infrastructure capabilities. So Serum is largely supported and backed by FTX and Alameda Research, and understanding that we would have that type of infrastructure at our disposal as a result of the relationship just made it a pretty straightforward decision for us. And we do believe that we'll be able to build exclusively on Solana into into the future.
Definitely great information. Thank you for that, Michael. And you mentioned near the beginning that you're in the works of releasing the platform in July. In terms of actually having user adoption and growth, do you expect to have a lot of organic growth just because this is an exciting project? Or are you also putting in user incentivization and early adopter incentivization into the platform to try and attract people right away?
I would say really a broad spectrum. So our go-to-market strategy is largely focused on the crypto community initially. And we've seen a tremendous amount of interest from gaming groups such as Yield Guild Gaming that operates a sizable guild of players that are interested in having ownership of assets in metaverses like Star Atlas. And so we're reaching out to various groups like this to ensure that they have a place, that they have a home in Star Atlas. Longer term thinking, when we do get further into the development pipeline and we create this fully immersive 3D VR enabled experience that is the Star Atlas metaverse, then we'll be more proactive in reaching out to the broader gaming user base. But for now, it's to attract the people that understand how cryptocurrency works, understand how DeFi works. And so the immediate benefits that we're delivering through this mini game experience is one, exposure and touch point with the actual gameplay itself, although not fully immersive. But perhaps more importantly are the financial incentives. So as early as July, players will be able to start mining and making money, or participating in DeFi and making money. So we think that in and of itself is going to be a major point of attraction to a lot of people in the crypto space. And we think that will extend out and bleed into the mainstream audience in time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Thanks for that, Michael. And I'm curious on the actual platform, having experience with some other metaverses like Decentraland, for example, I noticed that in the early stages of it, because they're trying to make it decentralized, it wasn't as quick or smooth as like a centralized game could be, and maybe the graphics weren't as good. And there's trade-offs between adding in all these financial functions versus a gameplay that doesn't have that stuff, but it has more of the a console high-level quality graphics. Is that a trade-off that you're seeing having to make? And did you have to sacrifice any of those traditional video game qualities to integrate these financial functions?
I wouldn't call it so much a sacrifice. We operate as a hybrid ecosystem. So there is the centralized game development company that is behind Star Atlas, and we are the entity that has done all of the planning and strategy necessary to execute on this vision. In time, we do anticipate that we will be able to move this to a fully decentralized model, but decision by committee is not always the best approach, especially when you have a vision as large as ours. Mm-hmm. And so the intent is, let's get to a finished product, a polished product that we understand, the user base would want to play, and then we can turn that over to the world. Now, in the meantime, the rest of the financial ecosystem is entirely decentralized. So mm-hmm. all of the assets, the crypto native assets, the DeFi participation, the yield generation, the interest, or the income generation, all of these things already execute in a decentralized world. So, we'll just be monitoring this and determining at what point can we start to unlock more decentralization within the game itself.
Mm-hmm, definitely, and I agree, and I think that's a balance that is needed to be made, especially in the early stages, to build that foundation, get it off the ground, then hand it over to the community, because really, you guys know what's best in the beginning, I believe, to grow it out. So, in terms of the late stage widespread adoption of Star Atlas and getting it to mainstream adoption, what do you think will be one of the key factors to success to get to that point?
For lack of a better word, the hype is really real right now. We've just announced our intent to produce this game in January. We have seen explosive growth in across Discord, across Telegram, in Twitter, and all of our social media channels, and just the desire to play. People understand how transformative this game can be. how transformative the metaverse as an economic system can be. And so word is spreading very quickly. The interest is already there, and we've done very little marketing outside of, generally releasing to the public that we're here, and we're already seeing massive adoption. So I think that will continue, especially as we actually have these engagement points where the consumer can start to play, right? And one of the things that's really important to us, we kind of consider this ultimate dream management, which is to consistently factor in user feedback into the development process. So once again, we have the vision, we know, we have a good sense of what we think needs to be delivered, but at the same time, if there are feature requests or let's just say feature requests from the community, we want to incorporate that feedback and build on that feedback and get consensus amongst the community. So these are all important things to us.
Definitely. And for the viewers that aren't yet in the communities and they're looking to get involved, follow along with the product launch and just learn more about Star Atlas, what is the best way for them to learn more?
I think the easiest approach is just to direct everyone through our web domain, which is staratlas.com. We have links to all of our social media channels there, and we also have some really exciting updates that we post there regularly. So, yeah, I think that's the best avenue.
Great. Thank you, Michael. I will leave the link in the description box below as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about Star Atlas today. It is a very exciting project, and I'm excited to follow along for the launch, and let's follow up in the near future.
That sounds great, Ashton. Really appreciate the questions.